Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery here with editor Joyce Eng and our contributor Jeffrey Kare. I spoke recently with another contributor of ours, Cordell Martin, about this week's semifinals on Dancing with the Stars and looking ahead to this week's Monday's upcoming finale. Now here to talk with our other regular panelists who we have four contestants left in the competition. Ivana Lynch, Milo Manheim, Bobby Bones, and Alexis Wren. So start with you, Joyce. What do you think of those eliminations from Monday night, and what can we expect of Grocery Store Joe and Juan Pablo de Pache on Monday night, and what do you think we can expect from the finale?
Well, Joe's finally gone, and I think he was thrilled. I particularly like the polar opposite reactions of both eliminations. Like once Alexis was safe, obviously she was thrilled, and Joe looked very relieved. But Juan Pablo and Cheryl were just completely shocked.
Oh, the look on Cheryl's face. She literally looked down like it was, yeah.
That was, I mean, I feel like the majority of people probably felt in a double, it would be Joe, hopefully, and then the other person would probably be Alexis. So, and especially after those two perfect scores for Juan Pablo on Monday, which I think were kind of excessive. But, it's just the fans weren't there for him, clearly, since he had two perfect scores, not just one. And he couldn't, that wasn't enough to carry him over the line. I mean, we don't know the difference or the spread between him and Joe. He could still have been 100,000 votes ahead of Joe, but he was still second from the bottom.
What did you think about the results, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah. I mean, I, like everyone else on the face of the earth, was happy to see Joe finally get eliminated. But I, like everyone else on the face of the earth, was, of course, shocked that Juan Pablo was eliminated. I mean, I remember, I expected him to make it to the finals, especially with Milo and Ivana. But, I guess, Alexis and Alan's showmance must have helped pull them ahead of Juan Pablo. And I guess maybe the people at home probably were feeling, well, Juan Pablo's safe, but I'm going to vote for Alexis or Bobby, just, help them out a notch, which might have been the case. I mean, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think that's very plausible. I haven't voted every week, but I think every week, especially after those first few weeks, I don't think I voted for a single man, just because I keep.
And now we lost 4 guys.
4 guys in 2 weeks. So we had 5 women in a row sent home, and then 4 men in 2 weeks, including 2 surprises. DeMarcus was not predicted to be eliminated on Country Night, even though it wasn't totally out of the blue. And this week, nobody thought Juan Pablo was going to be eliminated, including myself. I would have voted for him if I thought he was at risk. Which and what's interesting now with them gone, looking ahead to the finale, the judges really lowballed Milo, I thought.
I think that's probably why Juan Pablo was eliminated as well. He got 5 30s, not that, that's weird or anything. A bunch of other couples have gotten way more 30s in the season, but he was the only one consistently getting them and getting praise, and you might even argue overpraised. Whereas someone like Milo or even Ivana, they performed, consistently great as well. And I think Ivana has 2 30s now, right? And Milo Cell only has 1 30. And I think seeing someone like Juan Pablo repeatedly getting 30s, you're just kind of oh, he's okay. Whereas if you feel Ivana and Milo were, underscored, then you might be more inclined to vote for them.
Yeah, I've given more votes to Ivana than anyone else, just because I keep feeling like the judges keep throwing her under the bus, and the bus keeps dodging her. So I just keep throwing votes her way, thinking about that. Do you think Milo's ahead to win, Jeffrey? Do you think Ivana's out to win. Who do you think is the front runner now with this Final Four?
I, in all honesty, have no idea. I mean, I currently have Ivana winning right now with Milo in seconds, but I could just see myself switching in like the next 24 hours or something, because they've really both been keeping up with strong work week by week. I mean, I especially thought, with Ivana, she in round one she gave an incredible performance with Keo, and in round two, breathtaking, and with Milo and Whitney. Round one, they did a terrific job and an amazing job in round two. So, yeah, I'm really torn on this, but like I said, I could just see myself changing my predictions at the very last minute.
Yeah, it's interesting with Juan Pablo out. It felt like he was custom designed to go the distance. It's like the way they've been praising him, the way they've been throwing the 30s at him. It's like they've been grooming him for the Mirrorball Trophy. And
he reminds me of another Cheryl partner, William Levy. Like I think he was season 14, but like they consistently like pimped him out too. And I think like the show like really wanted both of them to happen. William like made it to third place, and I think that's also why they kept like overscoring him. Like they just want him to stick around. Whereas I feel like they, weren't like worried about like Milo or someone because they knew he had the fan base. Whereas they, maybe like the judges were given a heads up, like, oh, Juan Pablo's not getting any fan votes. Like you need to give him high scores. And like, he's like the type of talented dancer, like those scores can be justified, It's like not weird that he's getting 30s.
Yeah, I looking back at his dances, I think the first Perfect 30 was premature. I think there were one or two in there that I'm like, yes, that's a 30 dance. This week's dances, honestly, they thought that Argentine tango was the best thing since sliced bread. I didn't see that.
It was a good dance, but I don't think that was a 30. Like Cheryl's Argentine tango of Gilles Marini is way better.
And I honestly thought Milo's Argentine tango later was at least as good, if not better. It had sort of the fire and sort of the complexity that I wanted.
Juan Pablo, like all these like dances in his wheelhouse, like all these like Latin lover like dances, and that was just like they totally played into that too. So I definitely feel like they wanted him in the final, and the fans just weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so now without that, he seemed to have like the clear route towards the Mirrorball Trophy. I was thinking, okay, they're grooming him for this. He's probably going to win at this point. And then he was eliminated, and so it's hard to see now who wins. Milo has been consistent all season, but he might have peaked too soon because the last week or two the judges have been a little bit more nitpicky. And Ivana has, for me, the clearer narrative. The kind
she
of
has the best like arc.
Yeah, the ugly duckling turning into a beautiful swan in terms of her dancing. Even though I think the judges were way too hard on her early in the season, I think she's been a lot better for a lot longer than the judges give her credit for.
And she has the Harry Potter fan base to back her up.
And the Harry Potter fan base.
I mean, they both have large fan bases. Like, although I still am not sure like how there the Harry Potter fan base is for Alexis, because it's just like, she's not one of like the main three, but
you mean Ivana?
Oh yeah, Ivana. But it's like she's clearly a great dancer, and she's like visibly improved, whereas I think with Milo he started out good and he never got bad, and he has improved as well, but it's like I think he just seems like he's so good at everything, it's harder to tell.
Yeah, it feels like the dances he's doing now, like, because, I mean, obviously the beginning of the season, scores are always lower. Like, you could give a 10-level performance, you ain't getting more than an 8 in week 1. And so it feels like his scores have been going up with the natural inflation of the season, as opposed to him, like, really putting it in another gear the way Ivana has. So but he's had so many weeks at the top, it almost feels like without Juan Pablo, he's the highest scoring dancer. So almost like he's kind of earned it, but at the same time, he does not have the trajectory that Ivana has the story. And so I think that's why I'm going with her at the moment, but I'm not 100% sure. Where do you think Bobby Bones will land, Jeffrey? I'll start with you.
Well, I actually have him in third place right now, and so if you haven't already guessed, I have Alexis in fourth. But as for Bobby, I guess he is kind of an underdog. So, then again, I could just see Alexis and Alan's showmans, edging them out for third. Or, granted, maybe they could even break into the final two.
What do you think? Where do you think Bobby Bones lands, Joyce?
Yeah, I can see him finishing third. He's like that classic like underdog, decent dancer who is not technically great as like the top contenders, but he has the personality to carry him far and the fans as well. So he's like that classic like third place finish. It's like good job. And if he his scores aren't like crazy high, his high score is a 24, and he just got that this week. So he had relatively or comparably low scores, but he had the fans to help him outlast Juan Pablo, who had 2 perfect scores. So I can see him finishing third above Alexis.
Given the strength of that fan base and how they've overcome his scores, I could see him. I don't see a scenario where he wins the Mirrorball Trophy. I could see him pulling a David Ross and getting as high as second.
Yeah.
Which would be, what interests me is that David Ross got a lot of backlash to a certain degree. He's the one, the fun-loving guy. He's got the great personality, but he couldn't really dance, to the level that he made it. But if you think about the scores and how they've averaged out over the season, Bobby Bones is significantly worse. And what's interesting to me about that is that Bobby Bones, the best thing that ever happened to him was Grocery Store Joe, because Joe took all the backlash, because Joe was at the bottom of the leaderboard pretty much every week except 1 or 2. And so Bobby Bones, no one was as offended that he was still in the competition, so he managed to sneak into the finals. And I think now people are going to start looking, it's like, wait a second, how did we let that guy in?
He's out but the difference between them is he has some dance ability. He's not a door like Joe. But yeah, I think if Joe hadn't been on at all, I could still see Bobby making it this far even without Joe. He might have still been the lowest scorer every week, but I think his level is on par with other so-so dancers who've incrementally improved during the season, if not greatly. So I don't think people would have been as offended by him as they were by Joe lasting this long. Because Joe, that's
Well, what do you think about Alexis, her potential for even the mirror ball? Because I think one of the interesting things is that her fan base wasn't there earlier in the season. She's the only woman in that bottom 5 women lineup who stuck around, who's still around. But that showman seems to have really worked for her, despite all evidence to the contrary from our reader polls and stuff like that. So, and she's gotten high scores throughout the season, relatively. She just got her first perfect 30 in the semifinals. So I wonder if she could have the scores, and if she suddenly has the fan base, could that be a surprise mirror ball winner? Do you think, or is it's just kind of not going to happen, Joyce?
I can't see her winning. I can see her making the top 3 and even top 2, but I think there's something still, if you're just talking purely on dance skills, Ivana and Milo are above her. She's a good technical dancer, but I don't feel anything from her when she dances I do Ivana. So, and I'm not sure about the fan base. I'm sure some people fell for the showmans and are voting because of the showmans. But if her like 12 million like Instagram followers were, that into her being on the show, then she like wouldn't have been in the bottom 5 the first week. So I feel like she's kind of like hanging on the bottom like every week, and like it's just has enough to get by. But yeah, like I don't see like she and Bobby, I don't see them actually winning, but who knows? The season has been so weird.
What do you think, Jeffrey? Does Alexis have any kind of shadow of a chance?
Well, I'd say she is a dark horse. I'm not sure if I am willing to predict her to make the top 2, though I could see it happening, though it'd be a longer shot for me to see her winning. But yeah, I did just switch her and Bobby into, well, I just switched her into 3rd place while I moved Bobby down.
I've got Ivana, then Milo. I think it's going to be one of those 2 for the win, and I think the judges are going to score them accordingly to try and, unless one of them,
they're just like, all going to get 30s. The 2 of them are going to get 30s.
They're just going to get 30s, and then maybe they'll find a reason to give Alexis 1 or 2 9s in her 10s.
Yeah. Bobby will get like his first 9.
Yeah, and Bobby's freestyle, again, barring like a complete disaster for somebody, I think Bobby's freestyle will get him, like, he'll get like the compassionate straight 9s, and then maybe another whatever other dance he does will get like maybe 8s, like he's Yeah,
I mean, the interesting thing is also like Keo and Alan have never been to a final before. Like they've never had to choreograph a freestyle.
Oh, I'm so excited for Keo. Almost even more than Ivana, I want him to win the Mirrorball Trophy just because, when
he's been through so much.
He's been through so much. He's been eliminated first 3 times, 4 if you count Dancing with the Stars Juniors, where he mentored the Master Chef Junior winner who was eliminated first. And when Aaron brought it up in the semifinals, saying it's like, Ivana, you've brought Keo farther than he's ever been before. I don't think Aaron was even expecting Keo like starts like crying, and I was like, I need this to happen for Keo.
I would feel bad for Sharna though, because she's been to so many finals and she still hasn't won.
I would feel worse for. I don't think Sharna thinks she's going to get it with. I don't think Sharna thought she was going to make it past like week 3 or 4 with Bobby. And so I think she's like, the fact that she made it this far, I think she'll be thrilled with. Like they need to give her like another ringer or someone who
yeah, because she was the only female pro this season who hasn't won. And Val was the only male pro who has won.
and what's interesting about that is that we've now got a finals where only one of the 4 finalists among the pros has won before, and that's Whitney, who is with Milo. She won before with Alfonso Ribeiro. It's so interesting that 2 seems to be the ceiling of Mirrorball trophies for everyone but Derek Huff. Like literally no one. He won 6. No one else can win more than 2.
Everyone else. Yeah, all the other multiple winners just won 2.
Well, what are you looking forward to most in the finale, Joyce?
I always love the freestyles because like I obviously I love the good ones, but there are also like bad ones or like ones you think are gonna be good and then they just go completely off the rails. So I'm looking forward to those. I hope they don't do like supersized like freestyles with like all the troops and stuff and like the backup dancers because I hate that. Because I just want to like focus on a couple, and it's so distracting when they like bring in like all the bells and whistles. I am curious to see how they like fit everything in, like because it's just one night. I mean, they're only doing 2 dances, but they have like a bunch of performances. Like John Schneider and Tinashe are back to sing.
Are they gonna do a duet? Because I would love that.
He's performing by himself, I think, and then they said like Tinashe is part of a quote big dance number. So,
what are you looking forward to the most, Jeffrey?
Well, I guess I'm looking forward to seeing how everyone's going to be able to give out their last hurrahs, of the competition. So I guess I'm also, most excited to see what Ivana and Milo will each have up their sleeves for their last routines, and I guess Alexis and Bobby as well. But Ivana and Milo are my most anticipated.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to those freestyles the most. I'm also looking forward to the sad clip packages where everyone walks through their like studios and looks at their pictures on the walls and cries together and then dances, and that'll be fun. I remember they tried to do that in athletes, even though they had all
It was just 1 month.
We're like, oh, this season has gone so quickly. It's like it's only been 3 weeks.
Because it was.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we have more time this time.
A little. It is still slightly short season, going only 9 weeks.
I mean, juniors is still going on.
Yeah, juniors is still going on. Juniors got like 6 contestants left. I'm not sure how many they're going to eliminate this week, or if that show is going to go well into December. We'll have that one though to hold us over until next season of the Grown Up Dancing with the Stars. Well, with that, thank you, Jeffrey and Joyce, for joining me. We will, and thank you everyone for watching or listening. And we will see you next week to talk about the finale and who won the Mirrorball Trophy, or knowing how this season has gone. Maybe some weird write-in candidate wins, or it'll be interesting. So we will see you then. Thank you very much.